to say that. When you go to Kemet school, you became more alert. You more wake up. Your spirit wake up, and you became a more human being. That's your character is built in a school. Classical studies, we must know Medew Netcher, you see. Maybe in the future we need to know some heretic too. We need to know Medew Netcher. Achievement in Kemet for me is education. The way they think, they build, and they practice their education is very unique in history. Without education, I believe there will be no Kemet.
All right. ETM Hotep. Hopefully my mic is working and everything is all up to speed, no technical difficulties. So peace. Welcome and peace. All right, today is Sunday. 2 minutes left in Sunday, July 3rd. And then we'll be into the 4th of July, July 4th. And so I'm not sure about you all, but every year, of course, at this time, no matter what day July 4th falls on, it seems like July 4th, me growing up, July 4th was the day that you shoot your fireworks and everything, right? But I don't know. It's like July 4th has grown into July 4th week. It's like people are shooting fireworks all week. It started like days ago. And it's going on right now, as I speak right now. You would think that today, like right now, is 4th of July. You would think it just doesn't stop. It's like a whole week long. And so right now, so if you hear noise in the background, then you already know what it is. Feel like we're watching CNN and a war right now. And it's, so I can imagine what tomorrow's going to bring for the 4th of July itself. But anyway, so peace and welcome to the Sesh channel. This is your brother Wujau Menev Eri Ma'at. And this is just a impromptu, out of the clear blue, sky and ocean, just pull up on you live stream. And just kind of chilling. So this is a Kemet and Chill stream. I want to engage the chat and see what's been going on the YouTube streets, see what's been going on in your studies, more importantly, your studies, and what information that you've come across and things like that as it relates to the various different topics somewhere in the ballpark of Egypt, ancient Egypt, Kemet, Simplified, whatever name you choose to call Egypt. All right. Now, what's been going on for me in terms of activities is we have a book club that's going on. We started a book club, and it's one of many book clubs that are out there. A lot of people start book clubs or book reviews and everything, which I definitely support. And so we started one, and our first book is the book that you see on the screen, which is entitled Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs by Hieroglyphic. And I mention this all the time when I share the fact that we're having a book club, is that I chose this book as our first book because of the various different conversations that have been ongoing for the past 50 years, really, but in its focused conversations in the YouTube streets and among people. I think the conversations have deteriorated and decayed from at least where they once were, and even still, even where the conversations were, there's a lot of problems in that. Even in a more quality version of these discussions when it comes to the identity or race of the ancient Egyptians. So even in the past, there was problems in those conversations, but at least it was approached in a more scholarly manner. Whereas today, the same arguments and conversations are taking place, but a lot less scholarly. People are just going live and just having conversations without doing any real rigorous investigation, studies, or research. They're just Googling, finding things to match their already preconceived notions, stances, and biases, and then once they find it, then they share it and talk about it. And that's just not the way to do this kind of work. If you want to get close to the reality as you can, you have to just follow the evidence and allow that to dictate and shape your conclusions. So anyway, this book, Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs, addresses a lot of those things head on. And it's a very, very good book that I recommend everyone to have. If you're interested in any questions or conversations that are connected to the racial identity of the ancient Egyptians, the race of the ancient Egyptians, who they are in terms of, even if you think that there's an ancient Egyptian gene, like if you think that there's DNA that makes a person Egyptian or not, if all of that floats your boat, then this book is definitely something that you should be reading, because it will orientate you in the proper direction in order to investigate those questions. Without a proper orientation, these conversations are going to continue for another 50 years. It's been going on for 50 plus years already, with no progress or little to no progress, and it will continue unless people get properly orientated. And so my recommendation is to get properly orientated, and this is the book that will kick that off for you. All right. So what I want to know, and I'm paying attention to the chat, so let me just turn the chat on so we all can see the chat on the screen. What I want to know is, now we have over 40 people. I'm not sure how many people we have in the book club now. I know we had over 40 people in the book club so far who are dealing with this book, and it's been we have 45. So it's been getting good engagement and support for the book club itself, and then this particular book. So that's good. That's good to know and good to hear, and everything. I would like to see more, but hey, that's definitely a good start, because the book club, any book club, it promotes literacy, and it promotes comprehension and literacy, in terms of book club, because when you come together with people and you read the book together and you discuss it, then you know there's a high potential of you understanding what you read better, because you get to see and hear other perspectives from other people, and then you're able to throw out your perspective on the floor and discuss it and have discussions about it. So that's really good. Then it promotes literacy, because you learn to read and comprehend better in case you miss things. So literacy is the ability to read and write. But implicit in that is read and write, but comprehend. Because writing without comprehension or anything like that is just drawing. You can draw characters, but reading implies comprehension. But we don't say the word comprehension with reading. So if I say, hey, I read that book, I'm also saying, without saying the word, I'm also saying I comprehended the book. So that's what I mean. So book clubs promote all of that. And, so I'm encouraging and advocating, get on board, get on board. So like I said, we have 45 people so far that have engaged in this, and that's very good. And I would like to see more. All right. But what I want to know from anybody in the chat, shout out to everybody in the chat. I see we have, just to go down the list that what I see so far, we have Michael Eason, peace. Donnie Williams, Robert Rand, peace. And so far, that is all I see in terms of the chat goes. All right, so if you're in the chat, give a introduce yourself, give a shout out, Hotep, peace, whatever the case is, Habari Gani, Shalom, whatever it is that you do. So I know that you're there and present. But I want to hear from you all about if you're reading this book, what are your thoughts so far? Because not everybody. Now here's the thing: in the book club, we meet on Sundays at 12 p.m. noon Eastern time, and so we have a 2-hour session where we come together, we discuss the book, and not everyone can make it every time. So although we have 45 people engaged in this book, in the book club, not all 45 show up for the sessions every time. All right, so I'm not quite sure where everyone is in terms of reading the book. So that's what I want to hear from you all. Sundiata, peace. Judy Ma'at, peace. Christopher Withers, he says salam. Wa alaikum salam, brother. Moyo from Sundiata. So yeah, I just want to hear from you all. Now we could do it two ways, as we always do, in the chat or come on the panel. I prefer come on the panel because it's real time. There's no latency there. In the chat, we have to, it's late. There's time delay. There's a delay there, and it gets a little awkward. I don't like those awkward silent moments. If I ask a question, I gotta wait, 60 seconds to see your response and things like that. So I'm gonna post the chat. We have Sana Emiket doing her thing in the chat, and maybe Sana Emiket, if you don't mind, if you could post the panel link. And so I want to hear you all's thoughts, and this is an opportunity. If you can't make these Sunday sessions, just share your thoughts right here, right now, whether it's in the chat or on the panel link. All right. Now I understand that people are still having conversations about the identity of the ancient Egyptians through the lens of race or through the lens of DNA. People are still having these conversations. They're trying to discuss the ancient Egyptians through the lens of race and through the lens of DNA conversations. And both of those are a waste of time. They don't apply, and people are forcing a square peg into a circle space. They're forcing the issue, and it doesn't work. But yet it's a popular thing to do, and it's still being done to this very day. And so in reading this book and being properly orientated to address these questions and curiosities, this is why I recommend the book that you see on the screen. It does just that. Okay. And it's a good read. So there's going to be a distinction between people who read things like this versus people who talk and just talk and go nowhere very fast. So we could slow it down and actually make progress, or we could pretend to make progress by giving the illusion of making progress by going very fast. We could either be the rabbit or the hare or the turtle, the tortoise and hare, or turtle and rabbit. So the choice is yours. I already advocate what I advocate, and it's a proven method. So anyway, I want to hear from you all. Where are you in the book, if you have it, if you're reading it, and and if you don't have the book, why not? Because I it for those who may be hearing this for the first time, maybe seeing the title of the book and everything for the first time, the book is available on Amazon. It's part of a series of books of Cambridge Elements, Ancient Egypt in Context. That's the series title, but I believe it's 9 books in total in this series, and they're available in digital format on Kindle. And I would recommend you get the Kindle version. Get whatever version you can, but the Kindle version is nice because you can bookmark, you can highlight, you can type notes in there, you mark it all up all you want till your heart, till you blue in the face. You can mark up the book and everything. You can search, you can find things very quickly. That's the advantage of digitized versions of books. But if you need a paperback, it's available too, and it's cheap. I think the Kindle version is still only $12 and some change. Okay, so there's really no excuse. So if you don't have the book, I would like to know, if you plan on getting it, or why not, or maybe that this topic may not be something that you're even interested in, which is fair enough. I respect all of that. All right, but I want to hear. So I'm looking at the chat, and so far, okay, so Tony, so let's I'm just going to jump into the conversation. I see the brother Tony. First of all, peace. And he's asking, I guess, he said, let's ignore DNA. Now, when you ask it very generic and blanket like that, the answer to that, to answer to your specific question, the answer is yes. On this topic of identifying the ancient Egyptians, yes. Reason why is because what makes an ancient Egyptian was not their DNA. That's one of many reasons why. I'm just saying the very obvious. No one was at the borders of ancient Egypt swabbing people's mouths and mapping genomes to determine whether you're one of us, meaning ancient Egyptian, or you're not. That wasn't done. So understand this. DNA is a recent technology. Not DNA itself, of course, but our use and leverage of DNA is a modern technology. The human genome was not mapped until 2003. I repeat, 2003. That's 2003. For the most part. Then recently, I believe in 2019, is when they fully completed the human genome mapping. Look up those 2 dates, 2003, and I believe it was 2019. Somebody can keep me honest with that. So DNA and utilizing DNA for anything is modern. Very, 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 very modern. Very, 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 very modern. So it's not about ignoring DNA in and of itself. I mean, all human beings, we have DNA. So we don't want to ignore DNA, but for the purposes of identifying ancient Egyptians and talking in the scope of all these different conversations, DNA is not relevant. All right? And again, if you get this book that I'm sharing on the screen that I've just been talking about, you would have a much better understanding of the answer I gave you to your question. All right. So Tony, hopefully you understand that. He said like you. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by that. I don't ignore DNA just in general. In fact, I'm like all in DNA, genealogy and everything. As one of the things I do. Um, One of the things that I do is um, I help people. Well, not people. Like I don't get hired or commissioned to do this, but I offer help to people tracing out their genealogy and aiding them in their understanding of their DNA test results from 23andMe and Ancestry.com and AfricanAncestry.com and or Family Tree DNA.com and or MyHeritage.com, et cetera, JedMatch.com, all those kinds of things. So DNA is not something that I ignore or don't deal with at all. It's quite the opposite. It's just that DNA is not the tool for these discussions. So, for example, a heart surgeon is not going to use a screw gun as a tool to do what he does. Although a screw gun is an important tool to have in your house to hang drywall or to screw screws or whatever the case is, but you're not going to use a screw gun to perform heart surgery. So DNA, in other words, screw gun is irrelevant to heart surgery. Likewise, DNA is irrelevant to these questions and things like that. So it's not an issue of just ignoring DNA. All right, you got to know when and where to apply the resources and tools. All right, so hopefully you understand that. All right. I guess that was it so far. Peace to Monica Lamb. Whoop whoop. That's her call right there. And Monica, I guarantee you that your significant other right now, I bet you whooped them. Whoop whoop. Y'all gotta be careful of Monica. When she get that whoop whoop, she put you on under a spell. But anyway, so yeah, I want to know what are your thoughts on the book if you have it. Again, the book I'm talking about is the book that you see on the screen. Let me make this a little big here, so you all can see it. Yeah. So just what's your thoughts? I'm like I said, this is oh, so Tony, you saying what? You don't understand? Maybe you need to click the panel link so that I can get the gist of what you're asking, because your question was very very vague. Ignore DNA, and it's not a matter of ignoring DNA. But Tony, maybe you can do us all a favor and tell me about this. If you can, tell me about the ancient Egyptian gene. What gene should I look for that identifies ancient Egyptians? Maybe you can help us out that way. Give me the gene that where we can identify all ancient Egyptians. And if you could do that for us, I think that we'll definitely understand. All right. So maybe you could do that, or click the link, because I'm not sure. Your question was kind of vague. Monica says, did you create your app? I may need your services. Oh, yeah, Monica, I'll maybe tomorrow I'll give you a call. Or inbox. I'll inbox you on that. The app. Speaking of the app, make sure you all download the app, Sabre University app. Matter of fact, where is it? I'm gonna show it to you all real quick. And that's sad that other people got to remind me to promote things. That lets you know. For me, yeah, here you go, right there. That's the app, Sabre University app. So yes, we have a native mobile app, y'all. It's similar to Facebook. We have our own community, and it's centered around education. That's what we call it, Seba University. It's an educational environment. The word Seba or Sabah in ancient Egyptian means um, it means things dealing with education. It means student. It could mean teacher. The word deals with student, teacher, discipline, disciple, instructions, education, all that kind of stuff. That's the word sabah. And the university, everyone should be familiar with it. University. University implies the environment, the climate, the environment, the world of education, the environment of education, the climate of education. So we've created an environment where education can actually take place. All right, that's what Sabre University is all about. So make sure you go. It's sabreuniversity.com is the website, but you can go on your Apple Store or Google Play if you got Android, and download the app. Sign up. It's free. It's free to download, free to register to the site, and join the community. There's different groups, different courses, different quick lessons, and everything like that. Almost everything on there is free except for I think two things that are monetized on the site. All right, that's what we had, and in terms of content, we're gonna constantly be building out content on that. So sign up, and we'll keep everybody posted on new content. All right. So definitely download the app. All right. So now back to this book though. Let me get this back on here. All right, there we go. So this book again. Who's reading it? In the chat, who's reading it? I do recognize some people already. I know brother Donnie Williams is reading the book. Judy Ma'at is in the book because we're in the sessions. Who else? Is anybody that's in the chat have the book but aren't able to make the sessions? You all let me know that. All right. In the meantime, I'm gonna address any questions and things like that. So, brother Tony says the gene that the results have revealed. There are no gene that results have revealed anything. There's no genes that results any of that. So I don't you got to break that down. You got to explain that, and maybe you did in your next comment, which you did not. So brother Tony, you said the gene that the results have revealed. What's that? What is that? What's the gene? What is the gene called? What is it? What results? What when you say results, there had to be some test performed or some study done, because results come after a test or a study, right? So, and I know you're not talking about, and I actually I know you are, but you're talking about the mummies, that the few mummies, the 2 or 3 mummies out of 200 or whatever mummies that they extracted the DNA and did test results. I'm pretty sure you're talking about that study, and man, I would recommend that you catch up to the discussions on that study and what it means and how it was leveraged and misused. All right, really. As a matter of fact, I need to move this logo there. All right, there we go. So yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that you're talking about, and actually I could probably even show it to you, this study, but that study is totally irrelevant to the discussion again. As I said, let me repeat this to you. I'm going to repeat this to you. What makes an ancient Egyptian was not anything dealing with DNA. Okay, again, no ancient Egyptian authority was standing at the borders of ancient Egypt and were gatekeepers on who could be an Egyptian or who was an Egyptian and who was not an Egyptian based on taking saliva samples or DNA samples from people 3000 BC E and that. Nobody was doing that. That statement alone should tell you to change your thoughts on the use of DNA in the sense of trying to identify ancient Egyptians. And again, if you get the book that I have on the screen, then you will be better enlightened on all of that. So, Brother Tony, I have a question for you. Do you have the book that I have on the screen? All right, I just want to know that. So let me get that out the way. Do you have this book that I have on the screen? I would like to know the answer to that. And I'm going to continue forward. Tony also asked, who credit your school curriculum? You? Tony, I have a question for you on that. Why is there a need? Because your question is implying that there's a need for there to be a who to credit my school curriculum. Where do you get that from? That my school curriculum needs to be credited. So please answer that for me before I answer your question. I just want to know where the question is coming from. Why are you even asking that question? All right. And while we wait for that answer, I'll just tell you that Sabre University is a website. It is an online educational environment and community. It is a community website. It's named Sabre University. I just briefly went over the name for you. And it's not a a college that happens to have online presence, or a university / college that has an online presence. Those are usually have the domain extension edu. In case you did not know that, they usually end in edu, and they reserve those edu domain extensions for that purpose. So note that this is sabauniversity.com, not .edu. And so this is an online community that's named Sabre University for the reasons that I gave earlier. But again, I also would like to know from you is why do you ask about the school being credited? For you, I just want to know. All right, just curious. Let's see. I'm going down the list of the chat, trying to be brief so I can make sure I cover everybody. Yo, Soy, Ampianki, peace to the brother Zane. Sister Monica says, after 2 years of teaching, Wajao can get continuous education accreditation. All right, Monica, we need to talk about that. Let's see. Tony says the few. Okay, I'm not sure what that's about. Brother Donnie. Brother Donnie, Tony, excellent question, but you have the spirit of an adversary. Okay, yeah, excellent question. All right. Well, hopefully I answered that question. Tony says no, and I'm assuming he says no, he doesn't have the book. That was the answer to the book question I asked him. So Tony, my first suggestion is to get the book. All right? Because you're obviously interested, or you're interested in some form of fashion of the issue. So get the book. Get the book, and then have a discussion and ask your questions. At least do that. So that's my recommendation to you. All right. Let's see, where are we going? Philitentis, not 9 African groups, 9 African people altogether. Okay, see, you all must be having a conversation of your own, or maybe I skipped something. So again, just real quick, in case you're unaware, the panel link is in the chat. It should be pinned to the top. It's pinned. So if you look up to the top of the chat, it's pinned. So make sure, if you want, that's the best way to engage. You know, because we could be clear. Because some of these questions I may not have a full understanding. Because I know how the chat gets. You all have a conversation among yourselves and not directed to me. And so I may get confused because Philitentis, you said not 9 African groups, 9 African people all together. Yeah, see, I'm not even sure what that is referring to. All right. Let's see, let's keep going. Going down. Tony, because we don't need to be schooled by who don't have the real knowledge. Well, Tony, if you feel that way, then go on the many other YouTube channels and shut them down, because there's a lot of YouTube channels where people are firing up live streams that don't have real knowledge. Like, I'm not sure why you're here talking about that, because try me and test me on my knowledge. Come on the panel, and anything that I advocate and teach, test me on it. Try me on it. You know, I'm responsible for the things I say, and I'm accountable for it, and I'm present to be held accountable and to be responsible for it. So if there's anything that I say that you feel that I'm in error on, or I don't have any knowledge about, or whatever the case is, then I welcome you and invite you to try me and to test me on it. And I don't mean that in any negative way or whatsoever. That's what you should do. And I open myself up for that. So the panel link is in the top of the chat. Click the link if you have something on your mind right now that I said that you feel I'm in error about. Then come on the panel and we can discuss it. If you can't, then maybe I'll get to your comment where you can make a comment about it. But I agree with you that nobody, I'm against misinformation. You know, I know that people make mistakes. We all make mistakes, myself included. Of course, we're constantly improving, and we're constantly learning. As long as we're alive, as long as we're breathing, we're not perfect. And I talk about that as well. You're only perfect when you're dead, because the word perfect means complete. and nobody's completed yet until you're no longer breathing and alive. So as long as you're living and breathing, we're constantly learning, and we can constantly revise our previous interpretations, thoughts, conclusions based on data that we may be exposed to that we weren't exposed to previously. And so knowledge is always in flux. The body of knowledge we think we know is always in flux. So knowing that, it's really about the methods of acquiring knowledge is the key, not the body of it, because the body of it it fluctuates. Because 5 years ago, what you thought you knew, and then 5 years later, you may find out that you really didn't know. But at that time, 5 years ago, you were swearing down that you know. So on an individual level, the body of knowledge, or the things that you think you know, are, again, in constant flux. It grows, it shrinks, it grows, it shrinks, it grows and shrinks. So it's about methodology. And so again, because of the nature of your questions, I'm telling you right here, right now, that if you doubt anything, or if you feel I'm in error about anything, then try me and test me. I'm responsible and I'm accountable for the things that I advocate and things that I say, and I welcome it. All right. I do not run from any of that. So um, feel free to do that. And I don't mean that in any negative way whatsoever. And I'm not trying to um, even sound like that. This is just normal. This what that's what should happen. All right. So feel free to do it. Don't feel a way about it or whatever. And I won't say I won't interpret what you're asking, whatever case is hating or none of that stuff. All right. But either do it or don't do it though. Like you know the saying, um, either either crap or get off the toilet, as they say. All right, make it happen. Let's see, keep on going. File lighting tests. How much do those tests run? Okay, yeah, you are definitely talking about something different. I don't know what that's about. No hold bars. Peace to you. Said greetings. So no hold bars. Peace. I'm just shouting out everybody who may be new coming in to the chat. Tony, I hope you hold the same sentiment towards public schools and private schools for that matter. Yeah, that's true because even in K through 12 curriculums that are accredited, that are part of the educational system, uh, misinformation creeps in there as well. So that's a good point, Philintus. So yeah, be consistent in your advocacy now. Let's see where we at. Where we at? I'm gonna keep on going. But Tony, again, get the book. We talking about a book club. Relax. Yep, there we go. Book club. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Tony says, Wujao, do you believe in the American school curriculum? I don't know what you mean. Do I believe in it? Because my belief in it, um, I don't know if that really even matters. But let me tell you this: my children, my daughters, I started homeschooling them. So maybe that'll answer your question. I homeschooled my daughters for a period of time, and then circumstances, uh, out of necessity, they went to public school, and then my oldest daughter finished by way of homeschooling. All right, so, um, but regardless, whether you homeschool or send your child to public school, there is a um, aptitude requirement in the United States of America in terms of your social engagement, getting jobs, and things like that. There's criteria that you have to meet. And I don't care if you homeschool your child or public school. If your child wants to go to advance in any field of study or whatever the case is, or profession, and wants to attend college, a lot of these colleges require SAT scores. They require transcripts from your K through 12 educational education and things of that nature. So, so even although I say that I homeschooled, I'm involved in homeschooling and I advocate homeschooling or even public school with a with homeschool, because people do both, and that's what I did. Strict homeschool is what I did, then home public school along with homeschooling, and then homeschooling again. So that's me personally, what I've done with my own children. And but still, going to college and things like that, which actually my oldest daughter is about to do, they have requirements. Now, unless you gonna homeschool college, then you're gonna have to deal with what they require. All right. So unless you want to create a collegiate homeschool college, where you're gonna get a PhD at homeschool, then hey, knock yourself out. Let me know how you do it. Enlighten us, Tony. All right, please do that. I would appreciate it too. All right, let's keep going. Farlight is Lord of the Perfect Black. Yeah, perfect means complete, and let's see. Monica Lamb says, if American schools were any better, they would be ranked higher amongst other countries. That's true. That's very true. Um, Let's see. I'm going down the list, y'all. I'm going down the list. Let's see. Going down the list. Okay, so it looked like Tony's getting all the attention because I'm trying to. Okay, so let me back up my original points and questions. I'm asking anybody in the chat. Like I said, we started this book club. The first book that we're dealing with is the book that you see on the screen called Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs. There are people to this very day that are still trying to talk about ancient Egyptians through the lens of race or genetics. And to me, from my vantage point, that's crazy. It's short bus, it's goofy, it's retarded. That's how I see it. But I understand why people continue to do it. And so what I'm trying to do is help the situation. I'm trying to put people on game, as they say, or put resources, expose people to resources that will help orientate them to properly assess these type of research questions. This is one of the books. I recommend it, that people get it. It will help orientate you to let you know what's all involved in trying to identify cultural populations of people, ethnic groups, and everything. So we started this book club. This is the first book I recommended because of that. Now we have 45 people that are participating. I'm happy that it's 45 people. I would like to see more. So my question to the chat now is, because not all 45 people attend our Sundays. We meet on Sundays at noon to have these discussions about what we read. Now, it's not a bedtime reading session. We don't read the book live. We discuss it. So we read it ahead of time. We read sections by section, and then we discuss it. And so I'm asking now, this is an opportunity for any of you who are interested or who have the book but can't make the sessions, share your thoughts. The panel link is in the chat, and I'm also monitoring the chat. So if you can't jump on the panel, then share your thoughts on what you have read in the book so far. And if you don't have the book, you could share your thoughts on why you feel like you don't need it, or the where you at on the topic already. Like the brother Tony is doing, he's asking these questions, but he hasn't read the book, and so I'm suggesting that he reads the book. So anyway, to keep on going, Tony says, I'm not a linguistic. You mean I'm not a linguist? Linguist. Not linguistic, but maybe one day. All right, cool. That's good. And I'm rooting for you. See, I want people to win. I don't hate. I want people to win. So yeah. He said, without the patience of the monk. Well, I don't think anybody's tested my patience so far yet. Yet. Not tonight. Not yet. Let's see. I'm trying to keep on going down the list. Okay, Philaitis. The American school system is a sheep factory. It turns people into followers and reactionaries. I feel it's why we always heard that CEOs were dropouts, because it restricts thought. Yeah. Now I'm not prepared tonight to have a discussion about the American school system, but that's an interesting comment, and I would love to talk more about that though. I really would, because your statement, there's truth in your statement, obviously, because there's CEOs that have started giant corporations and companies that were dropouts, maybe not necessarily high school dropouts, but college dropouts. So there is a level of foundational information that people need to have now. So let's not get it twisted, because I don't advocate anybody dropping out of school though. So I'm gonna keep it straight like that. I don't advocate anybody dropping out of school. It's the quality and the use and leveraging the education system is what we should be focusing on. The resources that are available and things like that. Because there's some fundamental things that need to be under your belt. So I don't advocate people dropping out of K through 12. See, the formidable years of your life is what K through 12 overlaps with. And people who may not know what K through 12 is, that's kindergarten to the 12th grade. 12th grade ends the quote unquote mandatory aspect of education in America. That's high school. 12th grade, you completed, you finished your required education. College is optional. It's seen as optional. And so many people, many of these CEOs, they will finish high school, but then try to go into college or whatever the case is, and they'll end up not completing that, dropping out or whatever. And then there's some fewer that may have not done well in high school and dropped out of there too. But that's not something you want to gamble with. All right, that's not scientific. That's not, you can't correlate. We can't make the statement, if you drop out of high school you will be a successful CEO. We can't make that statement. Now I don't want to I don't want to advocate that. All right, we definitely shouldn't be remotely advocating that. Tony, wow, you are a respectful person, but okay. I don't know where the rest of your sentence was. Tony, I try to be as respectful as possible, because I don't have any intention on being disrespectful. I'm not built that way. But I don't control people's on the receiving end of the things that I may say. And so if what I say ends up being disrespectful, and somebody points that out to me, then I'll handle it. I'll deal with it. But I don't have any intention on being disrespectful. Falenta says the American school system's restricted thought is found when you find out who really discovered zinc and see that it's accredited to someone different on Google and in the American school books. Okay, so we're just giving an example of that. I'm gonna keep on going down the list. I don't see now. I'm working my way down, and I'm not too far behind now. But I don't see anybody commenting about this book. I mean, can I actually get? Listen, is it hard? Like I find it very hard when dealing with people, for people to follow directions. Have y'all noticed that? Like everywhere. Like you can go to a store, right? You can go to a store, and I'm sure everybody can identify with this example I'm about to give y'all. You go to the grocery store, right? They have a self checkout line, or they have an express line. The big sign says express lines, and guess what it says? It says 10 items or less. 10 items or less. That's fingers on two hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 items or less. Everybody can count. But when you get in the line, you look at people's baskets and what they have, the little hand carry basket, or they got a trolley basket, and they have like 20 items in the basket. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. People do not follow directions. It's just in us just to not follow directions. It's crazy. It's crazy. We don't like following directions. 10 items or less, and you got this whole cart coming. And then the self-checkout. Oh my goodness, the self-checkout in the grocery stores. Boy, the self-checkout, you would think you self-checkout with the things you can carry in your hand or whatever. Or you got a little bit of stuff. I'm telling y'all, I've seen people with a full shopping cart in a self-checkout. And I'm talking about the self-checkout, not with the conveyor belt type style or whatever. I'm talking about the self-checkout that you can tell is made for a small amount of stuff. It's the self-checkout that's just the checkout scanner and just the bagging area. Checkout bag, scan bag, not the conveyor belt type thing. And people pull up to that with a big shopping cart. Man, do you understand? Boy, I tell you. Anyway, all right, let me get off that. Y'all know that's funny, right? I know everybody. I know everybody in the chat knows exactly what I'm talking about. I guarantee you, everybody in the chat has experienced that. Cause you probably either one that did it, that does that, or you seen people do it. I'm telling you. Tell the truth, shame the devil. All right, let's keep going. All right, so Ramza, what's going on, Ramza? Peace to Ramza. Alex Jones' best joint ever was exposing and filming hierarchy politicians, etc., doing rituals to a big owl. Oh, okay. I think you're talking about Molech and Moloch and all that stuff on the island, Jekyll's Island, and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Keep on going down the line. Brother Zane is in the building. I mean, I know why they do it. I don't understand why they can't improve their perception. Okay, so you all are definitely having a conversation. I'm trying to keep up, y'all. I'm trying to keep up with the conversation. Ramza. By the way, Ramza, what does your name mean? Maybe you could drop the answer to that in the chat. What does Ramza mean? And what language is it? What language and what does it mean? All right. Now it says the combination of public and home school is key. Public school because of socializing ancestry. Yeah, I agree with that, Ramza. And I agree with it to the point where that's what I actually did and do with my own children. All right, so yeah, I walk the talk. Let's see. Donnie Williams says, "Can we talk about retaining info and how to summarize your intake?" Yeah, Donnie. Actually, what we're gonna do on matter of fact, Emicat is working on a crash course to be put on Sabre University on study habits. Recommended study habits to memorize or retain information, things like that. So be on the lookout for that, and we'll keep you up to date on that. But Emicat is actually working on a crash course about that. All right, so which is very, very good and necessary, because there's things that work. Okay, and so yeah, look out for that. Definitely look out for that. But what I can tell you right now, just because you may mention of it, what I can tell you right now is just give you a few pointers on retaining information. The saying, first impression is a lasting impression. Well, take that saying and consider that saying when learning information. So how information is introduced to you is critical, because how it enters into your mind and how you organize it initially will have a lasting impression on everything thereafter. So be very careful how you organize information in your mind when you get first exposed to it. And so what I recommend is that you organize the information carefully in your mind. And you do that. So this is why when I teach, and this is something that you learn in pedagogical methods and andragogical methods, is that you use visuals and you just be very consistent. So I don't know if you've noticed this about me, though. When I'm explaining things, like if you were with me in person, I'm a type of person, I talk with my hands. Like I kind of gesture things with my hands a lot. But obviously I can't do that online. So what I do is I use a whiteboard. And so if I was teaching a classroom, boy, I would use the hell out of a chalkboard. Like I would have to buy like 50 boxes of chalk. If in my classroom, I would be using chalk like it was no tomorrow. But anyway, because visualization is important to go along with information. And so you want to be consistent. You want to arrange things visually in the mind, in quadrants of the mind. So you have left and right spaces, you have up and down spaces, even in the mind and visually. And so if and whenever you can, make sure that you use visuals. Even if you don't physically draw something, paint a picture in your mind about it, though. Okay, that's number one. Two, always self-analyze as best you can by asking yourself the question. So no matter what you learn, test yourself and then explain it. And when you can explain something back to somebody or even to yourself, so that somebody else can understand, then you know that you've made progress and you have your um, a better degree of understanding yourself. So whenever you learn something, always try to explain it back. Okay, always try to explain it back. Get a relative as a guinea pig. You know, your this for anybody. Get your husband, your wife, your children, whatever, and just explain things back to them that you learn. But if you don't have anybody, then use yourself. Just try to explain things back to yourself, and things like that. So that's just two I could give you real quick. All right, I'm going down the list. Y'all. I'm trying to keep up. I'm not that far behind. A lot of CEOs, though, definitely go back after they become successful, but I think it's because they want to specialize more. I advocate for having a good system of learning. America just doesn't. Yeah, I mean, arguably, like I said, I'm not prepared to have a full conversation on that, but you could pull out statistics on the educational um, systems in different countries around the world, um, and all that good stuff. But tonight's not the night for that. Let's see. What else do we have here going on? Something going on. I know somebody who wanted to go to police academy because they have a canine. Okay. All right. So that means, okay, if I have a dog, okay, I want to go to police academy because I have a dog. Okay. I like the topic. I like that topic, Donnie. How to summarize your intake. That's exactly what holds people back a lot of times, even me. Yeah. So, like I said, MECAT is working on actually a crash course on that. It's something that's going to be on Sabre University to give pointers on all that good stuff. All right. Um, let's see. No holds barred. I translated as the shortest. Oh, he's talking about the 10 items or less. 10 items or less equals shortest line. Now that's true. That's true. It's like I don't care how many items I got. This is the shortest line. I'm trying to get out of here. You're right. You're right. All right, Rams. Let's see if you define your name for us. Everyone grabbing big bags of rice these days. With the okay. Let's see. Well, Joe, you almost made me cuss. Um, let's see. All right, so Donnie's saying, okay, Emicat got a good understanding on this, her approach as Jules in it, as pseudo phyllitis. Okay, yeah. You see, you all are having conversations among yourselves, so I'm gonna skip all of that. I don't want to skip anything that's bet. I can't wait to hear them go in on that. I like to get different approaches to it about taking a course in rhetoric. Oh, okay, yeah. Listen, pedagogical and andragogical techniques and methods are important if you plan to take a position of teaching anything. You know, I've actually taken course, not a extended like profession. I'm not a professional teacher. I'm not what do you call it, certified in teaching. I can't go to a school right now tomorrow and then become a teacher, or whatever the case is, unless I go through some other red tape or whatever. But I have dealt with pedagogical and andragogical methodology and techniques and learned it, and it's very interesting because in that, even if you don't want to become a teacher or a substitute teacher or a tutor, it's still good things to know, because on the flip side of it, now you know the best ways to receive information, because it's a two-way street. Teaching and learning obviously go hand in hand, and those methods that you learn in there is very, very good. And so there's a different technique to teach children, which is pedagogy, from adults, which is andragogy. And it boils down to one of the famous sayings: it's hard, or you can't. They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Once you pass the formidable years of life, where human beings are sponges, young children are sponges. They just absorb things. There's a point in life where you think you got it all figured out and you don't want to listen to anybody. You get hard headed, and you have to approach the mind differently. You have to approach education and teaching differently than you do in the years of life where children just absorbs and mimics and absorbs everything. And that's the split between andragogical methods and pedagogical methods and things like that. So anyway, we're gonna see how we can develop, some crash courses or something on that. Let's see. Keep on going. Yeah, again, if y'all hear noises, you just understand, it's, I don't know where y'all at, but around here, 4th of July is a week long. And listen, speaking of 4th of July, man, when I was younger, now I'm from DC. Okay, so let me start there. I'm from Washington DC. Big up to DC, Chocolate City. It's not chocolate anymore, but big up to DC. That's my stomping grounds. That's my home spot, right? DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. They call it DMV. I'm from the DMV area. Now DC, it was illegal to have fireworks. You couldn't have fireworks, let alone firecrackers and all that kind of stuff. So what they did to be slick, the fireworks vendors would have fireworks stands right at the DC Maryland line. I mean, literally, like there's if any of y'all are from DC or Maryland area, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, it'll probably just go over your head. But I'm gonna give you for instance, an example. There's a street called Riggs Road. I don't know what it's called today now, because I've been in the South for a minute. But Riggs Road or Eastern Avenue, that road is the line between DC and Maryland. And on one side of the street is DC, on the other side is Maryland. And literally, you could stand on DC line and look at all these fireworks stands right across the street. And so people just go and buy the fireworks, and get them, bring in DC, light the sprinklers, light the bottle rockets and all that other kind of stuff in DC. But anyway, I just brought this up is because me and my friends, we used to get the real fireworks. We used to get cherry bombs and M80s, and I don't know if they even called the same things today. And we used to get quarters. We used to nickname quarters, quarter stick of dynamite. So we used to have quarter sticks, M80s, and cherry bombs. And what we used to do is crazy. It's just young stuff. We used to put the cherry bombs, M80s, or quarter sticks in the payphone change thing, and try to blow the payphones up. crazy, teenage stuff, kid stuff. And so those are real powerful things, right? But outside of that, but you had to especially get that. Like you had to know, you had that connection. You had to know where to go. You had to like go all the way, get somebody to go to Tennessee or somewhere, and get stuff like that. But I'm bringing this up because nowadays, me here in the South, it seems like everything is a cherry bomb. Everything is made like I don't hear regular firecrackers anymore. I don't hear the pop pop pop. All I hear is boom, da doom, boom, boom, boom. Like that's why I say a war zone. Anyway, so if y'all hear noise in the background, that's what that is. I guess I said all that to say that. But it's crazy. It's crazy. Like a whole week. Feel like we in Iraq somewhere. And then you can't distinguish people shooting firearms, guns from the fireworks anymore. You can't distinguish that. So when you hear it, you gotta be careful. Like, man, hope people who firing it's irresponsible to shoot in the air anyway, even a firearm. But at least if you're going to shoot, if you're going to do that, if you're going to be irresponsible, at least be better irresponsible and fire in the air, man. Because I've seen reports where people shoot firearms, in that in that celebratory way, but don't aim it in the air, and then people end up bullets going in people's apartments and homes and stuff like that. That's crazy right there. Incidents like that happen, so be aware of that. All right, anyway, so let me get back on this. Ampianki said, book is interesting. I've heard you speak on it a lot. I'm often saying the way I'm coming across the info, I'm not retaining it enough, so the book club has helped with that. Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, Amp, I'm glad that you joined the club and you're able to attend and everything like that. That's good. So the brother Amp, or Ampianki, he's in the group. And yep, he said needs to step up his note taking game. Yeah, everybody step up your note taking. Y'all hear that? Let me ask y'all, did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that noise right there? Y'all let me know, cause to me that's loud. And where I'm at, it has no business being that loud. Y'all hear me? Those fireworks. People gonna have me pull out the tools, boy, and be like, all right, so everybody want to get noisy around here. Don't get me started. I could be noisy now. All right, let's see. Let me keep going down the list. I'm going down. Okay, so Ramza is defining his name for us. The Ra and Ramza. Wait a minute. Did I miss something? Did I miss your name? Nope. Oh, okay. Yeah, you did. You said Ramza. Ramza's from Final Fantasy Tactics. All the skill classic. Oh, well, that's definitely gone above my head. I don't even know what Final Fantasy. If that's a game, I don't play it enough to even know about it. Okay, so you said Ra and Ramza and Ram linguistics. Nothing left unanalyzed over here. Okay, all right. Valence says stay learning. That's how you stay childlike and away from being hard-headed. Yep. Ramza says Ra, which is the sun furthest from the sun on 4th of July, as everyone here knows. Okay, I don't know what you mean by that though. Let's keep going. Ramza says, just on my block was over 400K in expensive fireworks went up. Oh yeah. Well, tomorrow's gonna be literally lit. Like when people say lit, the sky's gonna be lit tomorrow. All right, so all right, let's see. Keep going down. So Ampianki says, Lord forgive me for all the lizards I blew up. He said that. Oh, that's crazy. Blowing up lizards. Dang, that's terrible. That's sad right there. 72 and new truck. Okay, yeah, you all having conversation. I'm trying to go down the list, y'all. I'm just hanging out. Appreciate anybody hanging out with me. Friday. I still think it's Friday. Goodness. Sunday night. Judy Mott, can you touch on culture, historical archaeology, and ethnic identity in chapter 2 of the book briefly? Okay, see, Judy's not playing. Judy's like, all right, later for all this firework talk and grocery store talk. You came on here to talk about the book. Let's talk about the book. So let's deal with it. Judy's like, let's go in on the book. Okay, so what Judy is talking about is in the book, there's a discussion on what's called culture historical archaeology. And the basis for culture historical archaeology or how that's defined is what's discussed is the problems with utilizing the concept of pottery equals people or the material culture equals people in more general terms, but specifically pottery equals people. And there's flaws in that ideology and that pathway to analyze excavated artifacts and things like that. And so the author in this book, he goes through examples of why that's a problem, and he proves it. He demonstrates the flaws in that ideology, or in that type of archaeology, and it's called culture historical archaeology. And when used for ethnic identity, that is. Now, on its own, to catalog artifacts and things like that, there's pretty much nothing wrong with that. You know what archaeologists do when they excavate different sites? They use archaeological strata. In the digs, they can tell time periods and things like that. They have techniques for all of that good stuff. But there are vulnerabilities in trying to utilize that data, raw data, and interpret it in terms of ethnic identity for people. And so the author, Yerosh Matic, who's the author of this particular book, he goes through and he demonstrates examples. See, and what makes this book good is that, and the book is not long. It's concise. That's why I say it's good. It's a compromise between people who want to take it really slow and read 600 plus page books, or people who try to microwave it. You're right there in the middle with this book. Okay? And what the author does is that when he raises an issue, he demonstrates with examples. He illustrates the points with examples, for instances, and things like that. So, one of the examples he used in this case is Heka Kasut, or Hyksos, as an example. So, let me briefly touch on that for a second. When we say Hyksos, a lot of people will conjure in their mind people from the Levant, Semitic people or Middle Eastern people coming from the Levant area. Those are the Hyksos. And we tend to use the word Hyksos as an ethnic identity or group of people. But that's not the case. Hyksos is the Egyptian word Heka Chasut. The word Heka is ruler, and Chasut is the feminine plural form of the word Chaset, which means hill. It's a hill. So Chasut would be plural, hills, plural. Now, the word connotes foreigner. Why? Because in ancient Egypt, the geographical landscape layout of their territory, the natural borders were hills and desert. So anything coming from the other side of the hills was not Egyptian, or what we would say foreign. So Kasut became translated and known as words for foreign, foreigner, and so on and so forth. So Heka Kasut together would be foreign rulers. Now, the old interpretation of that word through, I think, Manetho, was that it was shepherd kings, because the word Heka, to write it in the glyphs, is a shepherd's hook. So it says shepherd kings, like what? But anyway, that's what it means. It's not an ethnic group. It's not a racial group. It's not a biological population, or whatever the case is. It means foreign rulers. Now, here's the thing. The term Heka Kasut first shows up in Egyptian text, referring to people south of Egypt, who people love to call Nubians. And I'm against using that moniker for those people, but the so-called Nubians were called Heka Kasut. Not the Nubians as an ethnic group, but from the Nubians, from that group of people were called Heka Kasut or Hyksos. So anyway, that's one of the examples that, in text, using textual ethnonyms and things like that, you've got to be very careful. But when it comes to culture, historical archaeology, the material culture, so the Hyksos in a certain area, Tel El Adaba, which was anciently known as Avaris in that area, they're using the material culture to try to identify people there, and it's many flaws in it. So the author goes through and shows those flaws when trying to identify the people based on the material culture in certain areas. All right, and then he used more specific areas that I'm not trying to pull a book out and read it, but that's the gist of it. But it's very, very interesting in there. All right, so anyways, let me keep on going through. Judy might said they shooting. Yeah, you can't distinguish these fireworks from people shooting firearms and stuff like that. So, yeah, he said, yeah, that sounded like a gun. Yeah, yeah, it probably was. Like if I had to bet, it was. And I just be leery about stuff like that because people, I'm telling you, people are not trained in firearms. People don't know how to shoot guns. People don't go to the gun range. People don't even know how to clean their own guns properly and stuff like that. I mean, some people do, but a lot of people don't. I'm telling you. I know this because you go and you just look at how people hold their guns and everything. It's just not. It's crazy. It's like people having a car but don't really know how to drive a car. So you be kind of concerned driving. You got to play defensive driver, even though you can drive good. But when you hit that road, you got to watch out for people who don't know how to drive. No matter how good you drive, you got to watch out for other people's driving. So same thing with firearms. You can be trained all up in firearms, but the next man may not, and you got to be worried. You got to be concerned. Like, no intentional thing, but accidents be happening, man. So anyway, all right, let me keep on going. Let's go down the list. Go down the list. Go down the list. Okay, Ramza says, I'm surprised you're not aware of January 4th, the sun being closest to the Earth, and 6 months later, July 4th, the sun being further. Ramza, that's I'm aware of the what do they call it, perihelion or prohelion pattern or pathway that the Earth and the sun dance with each other in revolution and rotation around the sun and stuff like that. Yeah, but I'm not sure of those dates though. So yeah, I mean I'm aware of that, but I'm not aware of the exact date for the closest point and things like that. When you're talking about the whole Earth being closest to the sun, I'm not sure what the word is. Somebody can keep me honest on that word. Perihelion, y'all got me looking it up now. Perihelion. Yep, there it is. See, I was right. Boy, I'm telling you. See, my education is still stuck. See, so Donnie, take note now. Take note. You see how I retained that word, perihelion? I haven't used that word in decades. But I was able to pull it out. I was able to pull it out of my mind. I was able to pull it out of my mind. So you hear that, Donnie? So there you go. So that's an example of retaining information. I just pulled that out of my head. But anyway, that's what it is. Perihelion is when an object, obviously is closest, a planet or a comet, is closest to the sun. So yeah, so Ramza, hopefully that proves to you I'm aware of it because I even pulled the word, the term, the correct terminology out of the clear blue sky from my mind to do that. But I'm just not aware of the date though. Okay. So let's see. Let's keep on going down the list. Let's see. Keep on going down. Judy says, do a now touch on hidden theory. Yeah, see, Judy trying to walk through the thing. No, that's good though. So let me tell you all about hidden theory real quick. What Yehudi's asking, that's something that's brought up in this book. The hidden theory is simply, now here's what happens in scholarship. Usually, when conclusions are made, so you got research questions, and then a scholar or a group of scholars may come to some conclusions, and those conclusions or the documentation of the information, interpretation of data, will will be cemented in scholarship, then what happens is people will utilize that and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and it will grow in popularity. But it doesn't mean that every successive person who utilized that information actually did the work. So they're repeating one person's work 10 times, just as an example. So one individual does some work, comes to a conclusion. Then 10 other people or 9 other people will follow that one person and simply repeat the conclusions of that one person. But they themselves did not put in the work to come to a separate conclusion that happens to match the first person's conclusion. And we have to be mindful of that, because what people call a consensus is blurred in the instance I just gave. So there's a difference between a scholarly consensus and just a consensus, where people repeat things and then it becomes a list of people repeating things. We would call that a consensus. But then a more relevant consensus is how many people actually did the work and came to the same conclusion, where there's a working consensus versus just a popularity consensus. Now, so how does that relate to hidden theory? Now, hidden theory is when ideas are cemented in people's minds, and although not explicitly said in succeeding scholarship, it's buried in it and it becomes hidden. So we may have old explanations called theories that will creep its way into modern scholarship, but not explicitly named. Okay, and so there's a hidden theory. So, for example, the racist ideology behind a lot of early Egyptological scholarship, it continues to this very day as hidden theories. Like, for example, the dynastic race theory by Petrie. Even though people may not use that term dynastic race theory or whatever, but the concept, the ideas around it may be embedded within modern scholarship. And it becomes a hidden theory that drives the discussion. All right, so that's just an example. All right, so that's Jehudi fishing that out. Let's see. Let's keep going down. Let's keep going. Ramses says, what? That was something. Oh, something that Walking Library. Oh, nah, that's just, y'all don't understand. Science and math is my, those are my two most favorite subjects all throughout my life. So, astronomer, I was definitely an astronomer in my other life, if there's a such thing. I was definitely an astronomer. Ramsey said, yes, the dates are interesting because things change. Our zodiac signs probably aren't accurate anymore. Oh, I know for a fact they're not accurate anymore. The zodiac, not the signs themselves, they're the same, but the signs correlating to certain dates are definitely not the same as when they were invented. When the zodiac structure was created, in terms of correlating constellations, overlapping it with the calendar system, at that time it was done to where we are now, they're definitely not the same. They're definitely not the same. Okay, so all you horoscope people, y'all got to make some adjustments. You know, my birthday is April 14th, so I'm based on zodiac signs, I would be an Aries traditionally, but nowadays I might not be an Aries. I might be a Taurus, or even a Pisces. Pisces come before Aries and Taurus comes after. So on one of them, I'm probably the other sign now, which throws that whole thing off, because if they classify you as Aries and then say, hey, your behavior, Aries are this way, that way, that way, that way, that way. But now all of a sudden I'm a Taurus because of the time that we live in now, and the way that the planet shifts, and the celestial ecliptic shifts around and stuff like that. Now I'm a Taurus. Now what's up? Because everything you said about Taurus didn't apply to me when I was an Aries, but I'm the same person. It throws that whole thing off, boy. Horoscope readers, boy, they're gonna be out of a job. So Ramses, you gonna cause trouble for the horoscope folks, for the astrology folks. Brother, what's your sign? And I see it all the time. Sagittarius do this and Virgos do that and stuff. I was never into that. I'm aware of it, but I never advocate stuff like that. I deal with astronomy, not astrology. Even though they were both one and the same in the past. Philaitis, it says, I know this is off topic, but what is the specific reason you eat kale wraps? Is there an ancient Egyptian secret about eating healthy you not telling? That's funny. Nah, I just like kale wraps. Matter of fact, once I it's late now, so nah, I ain't gonna do that. But I picked up a kale wrap today and ate half of it and saved the other half. But I don't like my kale to get soggy, so I try to eat the whole thing without letting it sit. But anyway, no, this kale wraps are great. They're healthy and they're great. Listen, health is so underrated. Like, we only give one life to live. We have a shelf life as human beings. We born, we age, we mature, we decline, we die. And that's been going on since humans been humans. Organic entities go through those life cycles, and we better make the most of it. And health is obviously, we want to do things as optimal as possible. We want the optimal health as possible at any given point in our lives, whether we're young, old, or whatever. And the way the body is, it shifts, all that kind of stuff. So it's definitely about being healthy. When you know better, you do better. So we don't focus enough on health, in my opinion. Overall, we'll argue whether Kemet is gay, whether the Egyptians are black or white, whether the Bible is true or false, whether Jesus existed or not. But we don't have that same zeal, that same spirit. And by the way, spirit, I'm gonna talk about that too. But we don't have that same motivation to talk about health like we do kicking, fussing, and fighting with each other about whether Egyptians are black or not, or whether ancient Egypt is gay, or which is better for the conscious community, whether the Bible or the laws of Ma'at, and all that other crazy stuff people like to talk about. We don't have that. We don't have that same energy when it comes to talking about health. And to me, in the bigger picture of things, that's crazy. That's crazy right there. So, Ramza, good point. Mental health as well. Psychology is where it's at. Psychology is where it's at. Health and keeping clean is underrated. Yep. The ancient Egyptians were heavy on it for a good reason. Yes. Definitely. Health, by the way, the word health in ancient Egyptian is the word seneb. And I want y'all to notice something, that in ancient Egypt, they had these three words that are strung together often. Unk, Weja, and Seneb. And most people, you may hear it as Uncle Ja Seneb. And people use it today as like a greeting. Uncle Ja Seneb, brother. Uncle Ja Seneb, sister. Whatever the case is. Hotep. Uncle Ja Seneb. D and E and Uncle Ja Seneb. So these words are strung together. Now, this give me a chance to explain my name for like the umpteenth time. Everybody knows, my name is Wu Jiao, right? Even though people butcher the pronunciation, for the life of me, I don't know why. They say Wu Jia and Wu Jiaru, Wu Jiaru. Like, I don't understand like how you can see these letters on the screen and then say Wu Jiaru or Waju. Like, where did he get that from? Waju. Like, hold up. Where's my name? Let me put let me put my name on the screen. Hold up. Do I even have it? I don't want to take a long time to find spelling my name. I want y'all to see my name on the screen real quick. I need to do this. So hold up. Because this is crazy. All right, here we go. All right, here's one rendition of my name. I'm gonna talk about this for a second, because listen, man, this is crazy. This is crazy. Okay, so there's my name, biggest day on the screen. Hold on, this is gonna be real big on the screen. Biggest day on the screen. Now, even though this is my artistic creation, right? I created this artistically to spell my name. So let me just explain what I did here. All right. Now, I've explained this many times, but for those who are new, never heard me explain it, I'm gonna explain it for you right now. My name is Wujau. Okay. Now, I did this like any artwork that I'm associated. If you notice any artwork I deal with, there's a rhyme or reason for it. I create everything artistically that I do publicly. There's some things behind it. Trust me on that. But in my name, what you immediately see is a snake. Right? It's probably one of the first things you see is a snake. You see the red crown, and then you see the snake in the shape of a W with something in the middle of the snake that forms the W. Well, guess what? That snake is the deity or goddess Wajet. The word Wajet means the green one, or that which is green. That's what her name means. That's why I colored my name green. Okay, you see the green color of my name. The deity of the goddess is Wajet. The middle glyph that breaks up the W, that forms that middle piece of the W, is the fire drill. That is the glyph that's used to spell the word Ja. Ja. All right. The red crown above the snake's head is indicative of Wajet because she represents Lower Egypt, which is the domain of the red crown, as opposed to the white crown of the other goddess, Nekibet. You have Wajet and Nekibet as the two ladies called Nebti in ancient Egypt. The rest of my name is simply a stylized cursive of the U, the D, the J, the A, and the U. Now I know it's stylized, but I mean, come on now. People are pronouncing my name Waju. Where do you see that at? Now, I even have unstylized versions of it, and people, so I don't even want to hear the excuse of, well, it's cursive and you can't really make it out and stuff like that. Nah, I can put the English spelling of my name and they'll still say the same thing. I mean, you know, the no artistic application to my name at all, just regular English letters. I could use a New Times Roman font, and people still say, Waju, Waju. Wujaru. Where's the R? Like, where is the R? Like, somebody tell me that. Fine. Look, I will give a person $1,000 right now if you could show me an R in my name. Wujaru. Wuja. Got you all in check. Now, I kind of like that one, though. That Busta Rhymes. I can hear the instrumental playing right now. Wooja, got you all in check. But anyway, but anyway, back to the meaning though. I brought all this up because I was talking about Unk Uja Seneb. The word Uja in that phrase, Unk Uja Seneb, is really the word Weja. Weja means soundness. To be sound, to be whole. Whole meaning sound, like, you know, you're steady, I don't want to say the word complete and stuff like that because I don't want to go too far, but it's whole, it's sound, solid. Like, if you have a sound foundation, you're saying you have a solid foundation. Like there's no room for frailty and things like that. So that's what Wedja is. Unk, people understand to mean life. So you have life, and then you have the word soundness or prosperity, which is the word Wedja, and then you have Seneb, which is health. And all three of those are related. All three of those concepts are married together, related, to produce the best optimal um, individual to promote life itself. So life is defined by Ankh, Wajah, and Seneb. That combination of an environment, if you had to create an environment with those three combinations, it is that environment where life or existence itself can thrive. And so we should strive. See, I'm gonna spit some bars, boy. That's the place where it can thrive. So we should strive to be alive. Oh boy, man, I'm telling you, I'm gonna get a rap deal. Listen, if any producers in the chat, man, sign me up, boy. Y'all got any record companies? I can spit some bars. Y'all just heard that? You know, if we want to thrive and be alive, we got to survive in the environment. Stop jive. Let me stop. As corny as I don't know what. But anyway, um, so anyway, Uncle Jasaneb, and where that comes from is that that's given by a host of deities, where it is said that you say D in ek, D and E in ek, Unk Uja Seneb. And then there's another version of it where you say Uncle Wujau Senebu, which is more of like a request. May you live, prosper, and be healthy. It's like a wish that you're placing upon somebody. Okay. So anyway, I just wanted to explain that to y'all real quick. But that was very important. So Phalaitensis, that was very important to the ancient Egyptians. Um, Similarly, it was used similarly, not exactly, but similarly to um, how Muslims use the phrase "Sallallahu alaihi wasallam" when they say the Prophet Muhammad's name. They say Muhammad Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They have these certain things that you say after a person's name. So after the king's name, they would say Uncle Jasaneb. So they would say Wasir Ma'at Ra Satepin Ra Uncle Jasaneb. Ramesses um, or Sarah Ramasu Uncle Jasaneb. Ma'at Kara Uncle Jasaneb. Nisud Biti Ma'at Kara Uncle Jasaneb. And so on and so forth. Okay, so anyway, just wanted to kind of give y'all that FYI. Oh, let me see. I'm missing some stuff. But MK's in the building. MK, you had something to say? You sitting there kind of quiet, man. What's going on? You what's going on?
Um, Hotep. Well, I'm just listening in, but yeah, I mean, speaking of health, I guess with what you said, a lot of people just don't realize that that stuff is even related to how people comprehend stuff and things of that nature because it is with like your diet, like what you eat and things of that nature will affect your brain and how your brain functions and stuff. So it's so important, not just for your body, but for your whole body. But if you're really like somebody who likes to study a lot, just think about it. Like there are actually you know good food, healthy foods actually better for your brain and things of that nature. But I just found out today that about different grades of gas for the car, for the vehicles. And when you think about it, like if somebody can afford it, they would want the best type of grade for their car. You know, that way their car runs a little bit, more optimally. So if you take that same approach for the kind of food that you eat, because it's your body that you have to work with and that you have to function with for the rest of your life. So if you have the choice, once you know that if you take that relation to like a car, you would want your body to function optimally. So you want to actually, be able to eat healthy food that would actually help you do that. But yeah, I was just thinking about that. Other than that, I don't have much to add than what has been said.
That's a good point, and that's a good analogy, an example to use. So you have in car gasoline, you have 75. What is it? No, 87 octane, 89 octane, and then 93. That's what most gas pumps will show you: 87, 89, and 93 octane. And obviously, the highest one is called premium, and they have different names for it, but the higher the octane, the more expensive it is. And when these gas prices went up, everybody who used to put nothing but premium in their car, the 93 octane, everybody shifted down. And I'm guilty of it. I put the middle in there. That 93 octane, boy, that $5 a gallon is steep. I'm like, nope. I'm going to put that mid grade in there, or whatever the case is. But like MK, like you said, you want to put the best, um, so it could be optimized. So likewise with food, why not put the best in your body? But now here's the thing: we're very ignorant when it comes to health and our bodies. We will argue over, like I said, whether Egypt is gay, whether the Bible is real, whether the characters of the Bibles are real, but we don't apply that same zeal and energy in knowing our own bodies that we live in. Like, we eat, sleep, and do everything in our own bodies, but yet we don't know enough about our own bodies. And in the bigger picture, that's crazy to me. That's insane. Like, globally, like, high level, that's insane for us to be that way, where we don't know much about our own bodies that we live with, that we're part of, that we function through, and everything. We don't know, like, for example, if I were to ask people, the average person, name all of the vitamins and minerals that the body need to function optimally. Name them all. And I wouldn't be asking as if they committed all to memory, but show me. Like, we don't even have like a go-to spot for all of that. Like, what all does the body need, and why don't we provide the body with it? Like, because once you know what everything the body needs, what it needs, then you start to source it. Now you start to find resources for the best quality of that substance to give the body. Because I'm telling you, the human body is remarkable. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows that. And if you give the body everything it needs, it will do great things. It's a remarkable machine. Our bodies are remarkable, And I have a family, I have family members who are in the medical profession. My sister and brother, and so their whole adult life has been in medicine. And so, I'm kind of close, dealing with stuff like that, and in the conversations and all that kind of stuff. And it's crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, I don't want to turn this into a whole health lecture. But so Zane, you said, can you eat healthy late night, or is that still unhealthy? That is unhealthy. Eating late is unhealthy. Late meaning relative to the time that you go to sleep and stuff like that. You shouldn't eat before going to sleep. That's not healthy. All right, because you're starting a cycle, a cascade of events in your body that shouldn't be happening while you're sleeping. Once you eat, you're starting that whole digestive process, and when you're sleeping, that's not supposed to be happening. You're not supposed to be starting that process at sleep. Sleeping is for the assimilation stage, where your body have already digested the food, and now it's through an absorption state, assimilation state, where it's absorbing the nutrients, separating the waste, what it doesn't need from what it needs, and so on and so forth, and all the healing processes during the night and sleep cycles and stuff like that. You don't want to feed your body right before you go to sleep. All right, that's just not healthy. That's not the healthiest choice. Now, it's not gonna kill you, but obviously, but it's not the healthy thing to do. Now, if you must eat, so I will say this, and like I'm not giving anybody medical advice at all. So let me put that disclaimer out there. I'm not any of that. So don't put that on me. But here's a suggestion: if you are one of those people who have to eat late at night, whatever it is that you eat, if you have to eat, if you gotta have that fix, eat something that has high water content. High water content. Okay. So like fruits, or if if you eat fruits, then fruit, something like that. High water content. Don't whip out a T-bone steak at 12 midnight and eat it. You know what I'm saying? Don't do that. Don't whip out a T-bone steak, or go to IHOP, or go to if you live in Georgia, they got Waffle House. Don't go to Waffle House and order a T-bone steak at 2 in the morning. Don't do that. All right. Now, that's just me. Now, you know what I'm saying? You do what you want to do. We're grown adults around here. All right, so let me see. Let me keep on going. Keep on doing. Keep on going. I'm going down the list. Ramsey says, the mathematician or calculator uses every class to potentially affect. Okay, yeah, you all are definitely having conversation. Rujaru. Yeah, that's crazy, boy. People butchering my name. Let's just keep going, go down. Even when I was little, watching Moses movie, I liked the Egyptian more than Okay. I'm just going down the list. So, peace to everybody hanging out. Appreciate everybody hanging out with me. I'm that nerdy guy. I'm that boring guy. So if y'all to pay attention to me, man, that means something. So I appreciate it. I'm not dramified, and I don't argue over the short bus. I'm telling you, I'm telling y'all straight. A lot of these conversations are short bus conversations. I'm at the traffic light watching short buses go by. I'm gonna tell y'all straight. Like some of these YouTube live streams that people try to get me to watch, I'm like, man, that's a short bus conversation. And I unapologetically say that. Now, if you all, like I said, you all come. This is a Q&A. Chill Q&A discussion, whatever. If y'all have questions you want to ask about that short bus stuff, hey, go right ahead. You can do that. All right, look, I'm still at the end. He said pre-digested food. What he say? He says, but eating before you sleep is so comfortable. No. So Zane, let me tell you. The reason why you say that, let me tell you something. Now, I don't claim to be an expert. Like I said, I'm not an expert in health, and I don't have no certificates in health or anything like that. But I know what I know. Health is important. It's something that the older you get, the more you want to pay attention to health, and you want to learn things. So I'm all ears, and I've learned things, and I have taken online courses in basic health issues, right? I'm telling you, online courses is the way to go, y'all. You don't have to get a bachelor's, master's, or PhD in these things, but I recommend people to get these courses, these semester style courses, or whatever the case is. Take them. They're cheap. You can find them cheap. Go to Coursera. Go to what is it? Coursera and Udemy, Coursera, or go to even college websites, and they'll offer certain things for a cheap price. Now, they're a little more expensive than the other ones, but they're still cheap. You don't have to get into a degree program, but you can take some courses to get some things on your belt. But anyway, back to what you're saying. Eating before you sleep is so comfortable. Let me tell you why you say that. The reason why you say that is because the body. Now, here's the thing: the body in general. Now, I'm only speaking in general, y'all. The body needs a source of energy, a source for energy. Okay. Now, the go-to source for energy that the body uses is called glucose. All right, glucose. And the glucose involves the organs of the pancreas and some other organs to regulate the insulin in the body, which is used to regulate the glucose. It's the basically the gatekeeper for glucose functionality and so on and so forth. This is why diabetics, they have an issue with the pancreas or insulin. They have to take insulin shots, or they have low or high blood sugar and all that good stuff, right? You hear about all that related to diabetes, type 1 and 2 and so on and so forth, right? Well, the body can also run off another source called ketones. Ketones. So you may or may not hear this term, ketogenic. So we have ketogenic diets out there. And that's kind of new to a lot of people, ketogenic diets. And what those diets do is it's food that promotes your body to produce ketones as a source, as opposed to glucose and glycogen and so on and so forth. Now, when you eat food, every time you eat food, your insulin in your body is going to spike. It's going to raise. And so what we call itis, the ninja itis, you know what we call the ninja itis. When you eat and you get tired and sleepy and stuff like that, that's because your body is reacting, and it's creating insulin to produce to handle all the different processes of digestion and things for the food and whatnot. So when you eat, you catch the itis, and you're saying it's comfortable because you eat, you get into a more relaxed and sleepy state, and that's why you say it's more comfortable that way. But that's what's happening. That glucose insulin relationship is taking place, and it's causing your body to get into a slumber. But that's not healthy. That's not all healthy. So I don't want to glorify that. You don't want to glorify that, because guess what? Eating food is supposed to provide you an uptake, supposed to energize you, really, not bring you down. So if you're the kind of person that eat and you get that itis, then you need to learn, and I'm just gonna recommend that you learn about the glucose insulin relationship and those processes dealing with the pancreas, releasing insulin and so on and so forth. Look into that, and then also look up ketosis and ketones. So here's the thing with ketones, real quick. Ketones is an energy source for the body, but it also burns fat, because fat is the storage of energy in the body. So if you're in a ketogenic state, if your body's in a ketogenic state, that means that your body is using ketones for fuel as opposed to glucose for fuel. And believe it or not, the brain operates better on ketones than it does glucose. So ketones uses up the fat storage. So if you are trying to burn fat, and I avoid using the word lose weight, because it's not about your weight, it's about your fats and where it is. They call it adipose tissue. Ketones will burn that because it uses it up. If you're in a ketogenic state. If you're not, then you're depending on your caloric intake and everything, you may be adding on fat. All right. So anyway, like I said, I don't want to get into this whole health lecture right now, but But I just want to say, Zane, when you say, but eating before you sleep is so comfortable, just be mindful of that. That itis, what we feel called comfort, is not always a glorified thing now. So just want to make sure you're aware of that. But look into Keat. Maybe somebody can spell it for him. Um, oh yeah, you already got it in the chat. So I'm gonna catch up. So man, I'm behind. Hold up. Boom, don't. Let me see. Comprehension. Am I behind? What the hell watermelons do? He said watermelons. He said, what does watermelons do? No, listen, Zane. A lot of times, like now we didn't mention the word cravings, but a lot of times when people crave things, it's usually the um the taste of certain things and whatnot. So if you have to have something in your mouth to have some kind of taste in your mouth and whatnot late at night and whatnot, that's why I said, you know, something that's that's high water content, like watermelons, like different fruits or something like that. All right. Definitely don't get a T-bone steak. Don't do that. Don't do the McDonald's. Don't do the burgers and all that kind of stuff. Eat some straight up beef and all that stuff at night. That's definitely not what you want to do. Um, okay, so let me keep on going down. Phalaentis says, you'd be surprised why your government wants seedless watermelon and other fruits in grocery stores. Okay, we could probably have that conversation another time too. Seedless watermelons. Um, let's see, keep going. Okay, Phalaentis says watermelons is high in L-citrulline. It's a lot of research behind it, but basically, seeded watermelons, nutrient rich, makes humans fertile. It increases. It increases nitric oxide in men. All right. No is to keep you. He said nitric oxide is to keep you up as a man. Okay. He's talking about ED, erectile dysfunction stuff. Boy, watermelon's the solution, huh? Not Viagra. Just stock up on some watermelon. I grew up in Coco and Rolex, but nerds sexy these days. Nerds are sexy. Okay. Cocos and Rolex. Let's see. I'm keep on going down the list. Also keeps the blood vessels in check, so your heart is healthy. And seeded watermelon, yeah. Zanes, he says, ketones are produced by the body. Yes, ketones are produced by the body. Yep, you're absolutely right. Ketones through ketosis, that's correct. And also go to the next step, ketogenic diet. So let me just tell you this: a ketogenic diet is basically a carbohydrate suppressed diet. To keep things simple, a ketogenic diet. Remember, the word ketogenic means to generate. So a ketogenic diet is a diet that you get on that will help your body generate ketones. And the way your body will generate ketones is by suppressing the intake of carbohydrates. Remember, carbs is the biggest type of foods that produce sugar and starchy sugars and the glucose whole thing. And as long as you have a high carb diet, you're never going to get into ketosis, which means that you're not going to be burning fat. So all these diets that you see out there to lose weight and whatnot, if it's not discussing ketosis and ketones, then you really need to question it or look more into it. Because that's why I don't use the word lose weight when I have these conversations, because losing weight is as simple as just reducing the caloric intake that you do on a daily basis. You will lose weight. But the question is, are you burning fat though? There's a difference. Losing weight and burning fat are two different things. Ketosis or ketones, when your body produces ketones, it will burn fat. But if you just reduce the calories that you eat a day, then yeah, you're going to lose weight. So people will reduce calories, lose weight, feel good about themselves, and then start eating the same stuff they've been eating and gain the weight back and more. You know, or end up being, not as healthy as they think they are because they didn't burn fat, and fat deposits around certain organs and things like that may not be good. So anyway, like I said, I ain't trying to turn this to a whole health thing. Let me keep on going down the list here. So what's highlighting something? He says, you have to see America for the Wizard of Oz land it is. When they sell you seedless watermelon, then sell you supplements with the nutrients they deny you with nature. Yeah. Now I am an advocate for supplementation though. The data shows that, you know, supplements, um, people should take supplements in the sense that even if you eat raw foods, naturally, no additives and preservative type foods, just the fact of how things are farmed and grown, um, the nutrients and minerals in the soils where these things are grown are not rich as they once were. We have to understand that the earth's minerals are produced over long periods of time, and once you use them up, there's a science to farming where they do crop rotation. Now I have some experience in farming in the past. Some of my family members and stuff like that are farmers, and I had childhood experiences with farming and things like that. So one of the things that I remember is the rotation of crops, the importance of rotating crops. So for example, you don't grow corn in the same soil year after year after year after year. You have to actually rotate that soil, and grow other things, or give it rest and refertilize it over time before you can do it again, and so on and so forth. But my point is that even eating natural foods and stuff, there's still a degree of deficiency in the vitamins and minerals that could be there if everything was rich as it once was. But minerals are limited and they can be used up. So supplementation, if done properly, will fill in those gaps. Okay, you got to get quality supplements and things like that. So that's a whole nother story. All right, so that's why I'm not against supplementation at all. All right. Um, what else? What else is there? Let's see. I definitely need to find the motivation to get in the gym. Oh yeah, yeah. Everybody's talking about health. Yeah. So health. All right. So health seems to be a topic. Now I just now said health not talked about enough, and now when I mention health, everybody want to talk about health. So that's good. All right. I know Jehudi Ma'at is mad. He like, man, I'm trying to get back into the book, man. Explain the hidden theory one more time, would y'all? Cause y'all talking about that health stuff, you know. I bet you Jehudi sitting there like, man. No, but this is good. I mean, I didn't come on live to talk about health, but like I said, health is slept on and it should be talked about. So, but maybe we could plan to do that. Maybe we can have a show where we actually talk more about health, and I'll just share the things that I know, and everybody can kind of pull some resources together. Got Emmy Cat giving recipes out, so fresh cucumbers are good for snacking and all that good stuff. Yeah, put a little bit of Himalaya sea salt and some pepper on some cucumbers.
And some lemon. That is for those people that not taking the watermelon, which is good, as a snack and for the liquid. But no, yeah, just trying to help Zane out.
Yeah, you get some nice crispy watermelon, slice it up, take the skin off, slice it up, put some lemon, salt and pepper, and soak it in there a little bit, or just sprinkle it on it and eat it up. I'm telling you, not that hard. All right, so let's keep going. Let's see, keep on going, keep on. Nobody eats the seeds. Yeah. You know what, Zane? Speaking of that, when I was little, and I used to eat watermelon, and man, I used to be paranoid about swallowing seeds. And when I swallowed a seed, I literally thought that a watermelon was gonna grow in me. So I was terrified. I was terrified of watermelon seeds when I was little. I loved watermelon, but I was terrified of the seeds. Cause back in the day, the seeds were black or dark brown and big. And if man, I would pay attention to the watermelon. I would pick it. I would pick at it and make sure I don't swallow any seeds because I was terrified. I thought that a whole watermelon vine was going to grow inside of me. So boy, I'm telling you, I was like, man, I used to get my mother to cut up the watermelon, and that went against all of my family traditions. Like you never eat a watermelon with utensils. Are you crazy, boy? You're supposed to eat a watermelon in your hand. Just take it straight to the mouth. But nah, not me. I had my knife and fork. I was cutting the watermelon up, making sure there was no seed in there. Even if you get a seeded watermelon with black seeds, there are gonna be some white ones in there too. Even the white seeds, I was like, nope, I'm not swallowing any seeds. But I was terrified when I was little. Anyway, it was. But you know what's crazy though is for grapes it was a little different. I don't know. That's weird. That's inconsistent. That's some childhood inconsistent logic right there. I would eat grapes. The muscadine grapes you just squeeze in your mouth, not the grape grapes, but the muscadine you squeeze in my mouth. I used to swallow that whole. Anyway, but that's me. All right, let's keep on going down. Um, Zane is like saying, okay, what's saying? 2003, I did a 9-day fast. After 3 or 4 days without eating, your body starts the ketosis phase. Yes, Zane, that's very true. Yep, your body will go into ketosis. It's different for different people. It may not take 3 or 4 days. Sometimes it will kick in. It take longer or shorter. It just depends. But yeah, but that's true if you fast. All right, so if you fast, yep, definitely, because your body's looking for fuel, resource, so it's gonna produce those ketones, boy. And ketones, by the way, are produced by mainly by the liver. All right, God, forgot to throw that out there. All right, so all right, what else we got going on? Keep on going. Falite says, I am too. He says, I take all types of supplements. I just realized after doing the research on so many of them and realizing they come from fruits, vegetables, herbs. Yeah, 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 definitely. Um, why am I supplementing when I can have, when they're in the food that I can eat altogether as a meal? Yeah, that's true. But see, that goes back to what I'm saying. Even in the food, its presence, but its potency or the amount that's in there becomes deficient. So like for example, they'll say, um, this food is high in this mineral, or this food contains this mineral, I should say. But then the amount of it is in question at that point. So even though certain foods are a source for certain minerals, but now you got to see the quantity of those minerals in the food, and that goes back to what I'm saying about the farming industry and things like that. So supplementation is um is a good choice because your body will discard anything it doesn't need and whatnot, which causes some people on the flip side of things to say, okay, you're wasting money because you're basically just peeing out or defecating money because you're spending money on these supplements, but yet your body's just eliminating them out your system. Now here's the thing: if you take what's called riboflavin, how many of y'all have taken riboflavin or know what riboflavin is? Answer that first, and I'll keep going. But let me go down the list. Um,
Yeah, and just to add to what you talked about supplementation, I mean, other than just it being almost impossible for different groups of people in different locations to even just get the daily requirements of the nutrients that their body needs just from like raw food themselves. You need that supplementation, but also it would the price, or just the budget of trying to get that, because you would have to consume a lot of food on a daily basis which for some people it's hard to consume that amount of food, and for other people it's even hard to afford that amount of food. So supplementation definitely has its benefit.
Yeah. Now keep in mind that when things are extracted from plants, herbs, and what have you, we have to be mindful that it's the combination of some of these things that's the benefit, and not just the isolated piece. So although we can isolate something from a plant, and then that something we isolate is good for the body, but in the plant, it's that isolated thing plus its constituent other parts that also make it do what it's doing. And so when we extract it and don't extract the other constituents, then we got to be mindful that we may not be getting what we think we're getting out of it. Okay, so people got to bear that in mind. So for example, certain minerals go with other minerals, and I don't have them all memorized, but like calcium goes hand in hand with something else, vitamin D or whatever. So if your body lacks one mineral, but you taking supplements for a different one, by your body being deficient in the other one, your body can't metabolize the mineral you're buying at the store. So, and I'm just gonna throw something out there. This is not a true example. I'm just gonna throw something out there. Um, let's just say vitamin E. Vitamin E. Let's say vitamin E needs calcium to do what vitamin E is supposed to do. So if you lack calcium, but you're buying these bottles of vitamin E and you're popping 2 a day, that vitamin E is not being effective. There's no efficacy happening because you lack calcium. And so the knowledge that you need to know the combination of these different things is key. you know. And another thing, just because something is healthy in general does not mean it's healthy in specifics. So, for example, if you're deficient in iron, if you're borderline anemic, as an example, you don't want to eat iron suppressing type of fruits, even though the fruit on its own is healthy and good. So, like berries, if you're deficient in iron, you want to stay away from certain berries because berries, or don't take the iron supplement or iron pill at the same time you eat the berries, I should say, because when your body's digesting certain berries, it will block. It will be iron absorption inhibiting. It will not allow your body to absorb the iron, although the berries are healthy. You see what I'm saying? So little things like that, the knowledge that we have to know about the human body, we don't know. And we just learn these things. Okay, this is healthy, that's healthy, that's healthy. So let me just stock up on this, stock up on that. But we don't know how to formulate these things, how to actually use it, execute, and do these things. So that's just as important. So that's why I don't pretend to microwave this stuff and have these quick conversations on this stuff. This stuff, like anything else, health is a science, and we should approach it scientifically, and dig in and not microwave. We got to stop microwaving everything, any and everything. So I don't advocate that. you know as I learn, when you know better, you do better. As I learn, I'm trying to improve as well. Even those high level dietary classifications called veganism, vegetarianism, pescatarianism, where people say I'm a vegan, I'm a vegetarian, I'm a pescatarian, etc., etc. Those are really outdated. I repeat, those categories of classification schema is really outdated. It's not about that. It's about knowing what the human body needs in general among all humans, and then if you have a certain conditions, whether or not they're tied biologically through inheritance or through what you've done in your life up to a certain point, you knowing all the nutrients you need and whatnot, then it's a question of where you're going to source it from. where you're going to source it from. That's when you get into your choices of food, and you should always go for quality and not just to be labeled something. It sounds good to be a vegan because that's the end thing. Jump on the bandwagon, sure, let me be a vegan. But there's a lot of vegan, and I know personally, there's a lot of vegans and vegetarians that I know that are not healthy. In the big scheme of things, you would think like, oh, you vegetarian, oh man, it must be healthy, man. Oh man, it's great. But no, they're deficient. They go get some blood work done. Boy, it's like red flag, red flag. Oh, you're deficient in vitamin D. Woo, your D3 is low, your iron is low, your magnesium is low, your electrolytes period are low. Do you have heart palpitations from time to time? Yes. Oh, that's why. It's like, but you stocking up on the raw vegetables though. I mean, that's not nothing. That's nothing to laugh at. But we gotta do better with all that kind of stuff. And so me, personally, my personal journey, I'm we do a lot of damage before we know better. And so don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on that stuff. Anyway, let me keep on going down. Let's see. Yes, I did a 2-week water fast at the start of this year. Oh, no foods, just water. You kick into ketosis very quick. 3 days. Oh yeah, okay. That's Kit. Yep, a water fast. 2 weeks, y'all. Good gracious, 2 weeks of just drinking water. Man, you talking about shocking the system. That's a reset. Now I'm gonna say this: anybody doing a something like what Emiket described, that serves definitely as a reset. If you're trying to reset your system, then something like that is definitely what's going to actually happen. But you got to be careful doing stuff like that, all right? Because don't take it lightly.
Yeah, don't go do it because I said, we definitely did a lot of research before getting into that, and also just being mindful and watching and things of that nature. But it was definitely a reset. That's a reset. That's why I did it at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, that's definitely serves as a reset. So be careful doing stuff like that. Um, let's see, keep going down. You got people doing fruit fast and these different fasts. You got breatharians, people who breathe air for food. I definitely don't recommend that. Okay, so Wujao is not advocating that. I'm anti-breatharian. I'm just going down the list, y'all. Everybody's talking about health. That's cool. Everybody's talking about health. I do chlorophyll and pollen. Let's keep going down the list. Yes, coconut water is good for electrolytes when doing a water fast, as Zane. Yeah, coconut water is good, but it's not enough. Just want to let you know straight up and down. You have to drink a whole lot of coconut water to get the electrolytes your body needs. So get electrolytes. Like, get electrolyte supplements themselves. Usually come in liquid form. And add that to your water if you're going to do that. So Zane, all right, so now we're back on Egypt again. All right, did the Remech mention health and mostly fitness? Yes, the Remech mentioned health a lot. And they have a lot of words for health and fitness and things like that. And a lot of things dealing with the mind. Now, mind you, in ancient Egypt, the word for the mind is the word ib. And some people mistaken that for the word heart because it uses a heart to spell it out. But the word ib is the mind. And there's a lot of words that are combined with that word ib, which indicates to the culture and the people that there was a big focus on things mental, the mind. That was a very curious thing to the ancient Egyptians, and rightfully so, because every action, remember, life is about doing. The universe is one big act. With no movement and no action and no doings, then we don't perceive things to exist. If something doesn't move, we don't perceive it. That's why when you want to hide, what's the first thing you do when you want to hide? When an animal or something wants to hide from something, the first thing to do is freeze. It stops moving, because it stops moving in hopes that it will not be recognized or not be made aware of. So anyway, movement and all human activities and actions are a result of the content of the mind. So everything we do comes after what takes place in the mind. So your behavior, and so this is the logic of it. A person's behavior, when their behavior forms a pattern, we call that a person's character or their disposition. A person's character is the same as saying patterned behavior. Your behavior, what you do, how you act, and so on, how you conduct yourself and everything like that, is an outward expression of the content of your mind. So although we're not mind readers or telepathic, I can look into your mind by observing your behavior and your actions. So the ancient Egyptians laid out that logic where people's actions are directly related to the content of their mind. Now, Wujao, how do you know this or demonstrate it? Now, I'm not going to pull up anything to demonstrate to y'all on the screen, but I'm just going to tell this to y'all. The so-called Book of the Dead, the popular judgment scene, is an example of exactly what I'm talking about, where the content of a person's mind is weighed, is represented by a heart on a scale, but that's actually the mind being analyzed. When you weigh something, you're analyzing it, you're judging it through a process of analysis. When you have two things in your hand, you're like, okay, which one's heavier or not? You're trying to make a judgment call. So that's the scales. So the feather of Ma'at, or the shoe feather, which represents Ma'at, and the principles of Ma'at, is being used as the guiding principle or the standard by which to weigh the content of a person's mind. And based on the content of the person's mind, not their actual behaviors, because why deal with the behaviors when we can go directly to the mind? Because the mind produces the behaviors. So they judge the mind, the content of the mind. And so the so-called 42 declarations of innocence, people call negative confessions, are a list of 42 things that are analyzed in terms of the content of the mind. So your words and your deeds are judged based on the content of your mind. And so mental health is a big thing to ancient Egyptians. In fact, the deity Khnum, or Kenmu, as I guess we should be pronouncing it, but we say Khnum, is given the epithet of a builder, Kedu. The word Ked also is a word for character, the nature of something. So Khnum is that deity which molds and shapes the native, or not native, but natal character of individuals. And through life, your clay is soft, and through life it hardens and hardens and hardens. Similarly, on the physiological side, a baby's skull, when a baby is first born, the skull is still soft. It's not soft where you put your finger on it, it's gonna put a dent in it, but it's softer than it is as the baby matures. And so what parents tend to do is mold the shape of babies' heads while they're very young infants. And that's one of the reasons why you know, as a parent, you shouldn't lay your baby down to sleep on the back of their head all the time, because then you're gonna tend to mold the baby's shape of the head. That happens in certain cultures. Actually, mold babies' heads into a point and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure you all seen pictures like that. But anyway, my point though is physiologically, like the skull hardens over time. Well, abstractly or more in the abstract, the mind goes through the same thing. The mind is very soft, and then as you age it becomes hard. And so we figuratively say you're hard-headed, or you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because your mind starts to solidify and you start getting what we call it, you get set in your ways. What does that mean? To be set in your ways means that you have crystallized your character and it's hard to change. Old habits are hard to break. All these sayings come out of this stuff. All these today modern sayings that we have right now is a reflection of what I'm saying, right? Saying it's about the content of the mind. So Kanum and clay, we know clay when wet is soft, it's shapeable, it's moldable. But if you put it in a kiln, a fire, it's going to harden, and that's a wrap. Or if you let it dry on its own, it's going to get hard, and that's a wrap. It takes time. So the idea of clay, kanum, potter's wheel, and all that kind of stuff, him being the kedu or the builder, the shaper, the fashioner, is talking about, and then producing the ka and kat, the two twins, when people say the twins, on the potter's wheel. All that stuff is figurative for what I'm talking about. The molding and shaping of that natal character, that from that point on through life, it's going to harden and harden and harden and harden. So yes, the ancient Egyptians spoke about health in terms of the word seneb, which is used everywhere, not just seneb, but you're talking about life itself, prosperity, which is the word weja. You got the green one, things dealing with the color green and stuff like that, vitality, vigor, all that kind of stuff. They talk about that a lot. Excuse me, they talk about that a lot. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of touch on that, expound on that. Let me keep on going down. I got 2 minutes, y'all. Just look at this time. Cantaloupe with salt and cayenne pepper. What? Hey, man. Knock yourself out. I can't talk because when I was little, I used to put salt on apples. I used to eat apples with salt. And I used to eat lemons with salt. I used to slice a lemon and put salt on that bad boy and just tear it up. And you know when you eat something sour, it like grabs your jaws, like it does something to your jaws and whatnot. Boy, I used to love that feeling. Eat a lemon with some salt.
Yeah, we do raw mangoes with salt and cayenne pepper. That's good.
Oh, okay. Hey. Let's see. I'm keep on going down. Hold up, because I don't want to get behind. Because like I said, I got 2 minutes left, so I'm trying to go through. Uh, it's good that everybody's jumped on the health topic. Let's see. So we got sumo. So peace to sumo. Is the race term black an exonym? If it is, wouldn't it be up to the creators of that term to define what they mean when they refer to us as black, instead of giving ourselves that responsibility? Okay, so that's a good question. First, let's deal with it. The first part, is the race term black an exonym? Well, in order to answer that question, I gotta kind of assume what you're talking about when it's an exonym to who, because an exonym is when an external group of people are naming another group of people. And so I'm not sure which group is which in your question, but I'm gonna make this assumption just to kind of get through the answer for you in terms of us, like African Americans or whatever the case is. Because I don't know who you're talking about specifically, but so the short answer is yes. And You said if it is, so the answer is yes. If it is, wouldn't it be up to the creators of that term to define what they mean when they refer to us as black? They've already defined it. Black is a term of bottom caste. When they're calling something black, now it depends on who the they is because it changes in different eras of time. So let me orientate you in time where I'm at, because the Greeks had a different conceptualization than those who came after and leveraged what they used for different reasons. But let me just put it to you in a modern sense. In the modern sense, black is the bottom caste. Black is a social level. It's not literal. They do not mean it in a literal way. When they call people black, they do not mean people are literally the color black. They're using black, and I'm going from their end, and then we could talk about the other side of the coin. But from their end, labeling something black is to give it a hierarchical level, a social level, a caste, a class level. It's a class, and black is the bottom. So black becomes synonymous with bottom level. They've already defined that. White, they've defined as being the top level, the privileged level. So when we say white privilege, we're saying something redundant. White is privilege. So we don't have to say white privilege, because white itself is privilege. It is the privileged level. Black is the unprivileged level, the bottom. And every level is defined by its relationship to the level of white. So if the level of black seems to make progress, it's relative progress, because the levels above it are also going to rise or make progress in relationship to black, because that's how it was built. So that was already defined. So it's not on. So now the next part of your statement is, instead of giving ourselves that responsibility, we don't have that responsibility. Now let's flip it on the other side of the coin. Now what we've done is we've taken the term black, and we've tried to we tried to flip it and use it as a term of endearment, as a term of identity. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that we could have done, because now we no longer understand black as one of the just monikers or terminology labels for a class. Instead, we see it as an identity. And identities tend to be enduring or static in people's lives, because what you are is what you are. You don't want to change that. So if you grab a status level as your identity, and the concept of identity is something that you want to hold on to and keep and not change, then that means by default you're not going to change your status level either, because you've identified with it. The status level becomes your your status identity. Your status becomes your identity. You don't want to change your identity, therefore you're not going to change your status. Because if I tell you that you shouldn't be black, you should be white, you would look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean I want to be white? I don't want to be white. I want to be black. Whatever. So, anyway, to go back to your question, is the race term black an exonym? Yes, it is. And I don't mean it just in the form BLACK. I'm talking about the concept attached to that form, the entire sign, that entire word. The form can change, because we know that the word negro in Spanish, negro, that shares the exact same concept. It's just a different form. It's not BLACK, it's NEGRO, negro. But it's the same thing. Those are equations. So I'm not talking about just the form. I'm talking about the entire thing, no matter what form it is, but it is the concept with the form attached to it that is exonymic, because it was given on a group of people to designate that group of people as the bottom caste upon which everything else is built. And it was cemented during the 16th and 17th century during slavery alongside of white. White as a classification hierarchy was not brought into fruition until 1681. There were no white people on the planet prior to that. All right, people classified as white. But anyway, so hopefully I kind of answer your question. With the understanding of that. You can find nutrients in herbs. Okay, we talking about nutrients, antioxidants. All right, cool. Like I said, I only had 2 minutes, so excuse me, y'all. I'm trying to get through these real fast now because I'm gonna be shutting it down, and I'm going through these. Can be on the beach, deep woods. Okay. Going through. Don't mix apple and orange juice. It will increase your stomach acid and you be curled up on the floor. Okay. Christopher Withers, could you speak on the pseudo judo blood type diet? Oh man, yeah, I could do that next time because I need to wind this down. So don't forget that, Chris. We could bring that up. I'm gonna go live. I'm gonna have a open discussion. Topic just be all things health. Let's do that. We could do that, and I'll put the Egyptian words for health, the different variations of it up on the screen, so we at least tie it into each of some form of fashion. All right. So Seneb is one of the key words for health. But yeah, we could talk about that. The blood type diet is crazy. People don't even know what blood type means. The antigens and things. Dealing with blood types, man. So the presence or absence of those. Okay, anyway, let's see. Keep going down the list. They did Kemetic yoga for fitness. Yeah, right. That's crazy. I'm going down the list. Philaitis, he says, I want to try to grow plants using pollen to fertilize. Pollen? Oh, okay. Now I have experience farming. I did some farming in my days, and it's exciting. I recommend people to do it. Not just grow plants in your house. I'm talking about actually try to farm. Just farm. Do a little garden. If you have land, if you have a big enough backyard, front yard, whatever, don't let that yard go to waste. Section off a section in your backyard, and do some farming. Do some little farming. Grow some tomatoes. Grow some cucumbers. Grow the seasonal easy stuff. Break yourself in. Do that. Do that. It's nice. Grow some parsley. Grow some peppermint and stuff. Some herbs. Get into composting. I did that too. Composting and stuff. Anyway, let's see. I'm going down the list, y'all. I'm trying to go down the list. I'll make sure I don't miss anything. Let's see what else. Philaitis says, I'm just saying, you have a chance to get away from black bears. Oh, y'all talking about bears now? Goodness. The chat will have a mind of its own. Indigenous black man, peace. Peace to the indigenous black man. He says, a social construct given. Yep. Let me briefly, I'm at the end of the chat. Let me briefly explain something though. A social construct is simply it is the words kind of explain itself, but I don't know, some people may misinterpret it. A social construct is a construct that emerges from society, and it's almost like this tacit agreement, this subconscious phenomenon where people in a society agree upon something without literally having a meeting and passing a memo around. So they call it a social construct. These are constructs based on the social environment, climate, and conditions. And so race, as we understand it today, is a modern social construct. It's not a biological construct. How do you know? Very simple. The categories of race were created and utilized way before DNA technology ever came on the scene. That fact alone should let you know that race was not based in biology or genetics. It's a proxy created or emerged from society on perceptions of human groupings. And it was leveraged in a way where one group of people always remained above and more privileged than the other groups. Period. Nobody is going to get around that fact. The top level happens to be called a color term. That color term is WHITE, white. But it's not used as a color, even though it's a color term. Same way black. It doesn't function as the color black. It functions as a label for a level of society. There's no biological basis to race, to the social construct of race. That's why we say it's a social construct. So if you hear anybody talk about race and then start invoking DNA stuff, stop them. Stop them. Only reason why people do that is because they don't know about sociology. They don't know enough to understand what social constructs are. So they invoke DNA stuff because that's the bandwagon. That's the stuff people jump on. DNA. Everybody's taking DNA tests, and that's very valuable. So I don't want to sound like I'm discrediting DNA. That's very important and valuable, but you got to know when to use these things. There is no racial DNA type stuff. It's the opposite. What geneticists are finding out is that the human population on the planet is a continuous gradient. Most humans, if you snatch any two given humans on the planet, most of our DNA is going to be a match. It's that small, very small portion that is different that creates an ocean of differences that we perceive and then start to categorize and differentiate people with. 99.9% of DNA among humans, and its points even smaller than that, are the same. It's that very, very, very small little percent that creates an ocean of these differences that we perceive, and then we start categorizing human beings based on that. But that's a social construct, and it's designed. Now, let me tell you this. This will be the last thing I say, and then I'm gonna wrap this up, y'all. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. But let me say this: like, if you go back to the Greek, the times of the ancient Greeks, the Hellenes, the Greeks, they their terminologies and things are heavily used by the racial component of time, era of time, and leveraged. And so, like, for example, Africa, the continent of Africa, it was divided into three major sections. You have Ethiops, Libya, and then Egyptos. And that division of Africa ends up being our modern day version of sub-Saharan African versus supra-Saharan African, and then you got the northeast quadrant, the Nile Valley. you know, and all that stuff is leveraged to emerge a ruling class of people for the entire planet now, not just a country. This is how you got to understand it. Instead of ruling specific territories, everything went global. Instead of having a king ruling a territory or what have you, now it went to a type of human that can rule the world. So let me say that again. It went from an individual or an administration of individuals that ran and controlled and owned a territory. It moved from there to a human type running and controlling the planet. That came later. That human type is the is placed at the top of a social hierarchy. The label for that level is WHITE, white. And in order for it to advance to the top level, it needs a bottom caste to stand on. That bottom caste happens to be labeled BLACK, black. Now, black and white are both extremes of this hierarchical system. They happen to be color terms. The trick is to use the color terms and then psychologically start to identify with it, where it becomes an identity. And the way the human mind works, the psyche works, we identify with something, we don't want it to change. So if we can equate an identity with the bottom caste, then those who identify that way are forever going to be the bottom caste. And that's what's been happening for the longest time. So that's in a nutshell how these things happen, and the social construct is built that way to keep white at the top and to keep black at the bottom. That's it. And there's many studies. There's scholarship on this, and I could bore y'all with how much um, citations and sources I can give. I don't have the time to do it now, but we can have a whole conversation on it, and I would love to. The social construct race, and I actually want to write something on it. I want to publish something on it, put it in writing. All right, but anyway, so that's it though for me tonight. MK, you got anything? Anything closing? One or two sentences, or the Kenyan long goodbye.
No, definitely not a long goodbye. But what I'd like to say is that if you haven't joined the book club, please do. I'm just gonna put the link in the chat one more time. It's actually pretty good because it's hard to read a book on your own and just get all different aspects of what is going on in the book. But when you're studying it with a group of people, then some things that you might not have been taken note of, somebody else might have, and so you just have like this really good well-rounded in input that is laid out with different people about the book. So I'll definitely recommend that people join the book club. The link is in the chat, so it's not too late yet. So yeah, that's all, and thank you for watching. Do well.
All right, I don't have anything to add to that. So listen, I appreciate everybody tuned in, um, and make sure you subscribe. Now, what we did was we turned on that you have to be a subscriber to the channel to even make a comment. So everybody that comments, I know you have subscribed already. So we want to keep that turned on. So subscribe to the channel, join the Saber University website, sign up for it. It's free. Join the community there. Download the app. Let me put the app back on the screen. Download the app. Um, where is it? Right there. There we go. So download the app. Whatever device you have, whether you're an iPhone person like myself or you the Android trader like other people. Now let me stop. But no matter what, we got it. We got it on both. download the app, sign in, and it's a community. And for those of you who don't know, it's a community. It mimics Facebook. The functionality of Facebook is the functionality that we have at Xavier University. So it's a website you can get to your desktop browser, but it's also a native mobile app pointing to the same content. And there's communities, there's groups. You can create groups. Well, we don't have the creation of groups turned on, but eventually as we grow, we're going to allow users, people to be able to create their own groups, focus groups. But we want to kind of keep that structured right now. We don't want people to go buck wild and create any willy-nilly groups, because then what we're doing will just be a waste of time. So the point of even doing all of this stuff is just to have a wholesome, effective environment for learning. And we don't want it to be stiff and rigid and robotic. We want to have fun, but at the same time we want to promote learning and everything associated with the learning process. All right, so eliminate all that silly stuff, goofy stuff, the drama stuff that we see on these YouTube streets. From it now, we just creating the environment. We just, it's an option. We're not here to tell people or dictate people how other people may run their channels and do what they do. We just want to create an alternative to give people a choice that when you want to get down and study and make progress learning, then you come here or you go to this spot. If you want to be entertained and do whatever and you're attracted to other type of stuff, then go wherever that is. You know what I'm saying? So we're all adults. We can do these kind of things. But that's what we do here. So anyway, make sure you support that and keep your eyes and ears open. We have some things that are coming up. Like I said, MECAT is working on a crash course about study habits and the benefits of doing certain things to retain information and comprehend information, things like that. I'm currently working on finishing this grammar book because I'm going ham. Listen, y'all, I'm going like what they call it in Dragon Ball Z, Super Saiyan on the Egyptian language. Once I'm done with this grammar book, which is going to still take me some time, so I plan to have it out this year. But I should have had it out, but I'm gonna get that going because it's gonna combine the beginner's level and the advanced level all in one book, and I'm trying to do a thorough job with everything in it, and it's gonna be hopefully it'll be very, very good, useful, and effective enough to get people up to speed on the language, whereas we can engage the culture and actually extract the genius of the culture. Make more use of it instead of just talking about it and fussing about things. Egyptians are gay. Why they got Ethiopic people on there? Who is Ma'at? Who started Ma'at? Did Ma'at copy from the Sumerian Hammurabi laws of Hammurabi? And is Osiris an indigenous god or is he an imported god? Is Best an imported god? Egyptians black? Are they white? Are they purple? Is Happy the river itself or is Happy the god of the river? And all these different arguments and stuff like that. Like, man, it's crazy. It really is crazy. So we got a lot of work to do. So anyway, I'm going to say Shem Hotep and peace. And we are out.
You said that when you go to Kemet school, you became more alert. You more wake up. Your spirit wake up. And you became a more human being. That's your character is built in a school. Study what we call classical studies. We must know Medew Netcher. You see, maybe in the future we need to know some Meroitic too. We need to know Medew Netcher. greatest achievement in Kemet for me is education. The way they think, they build, and they practice their education is very unique in history. Without education, I believe there will be no Kemet.